Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be doing an updated version of how to redo your furniture using chalk paint. I'm just going to show you everything that you'll need. So to start out, I went ahead and I took all the doors off the piece of furniture. I'll put it up on the screen over here probably so you can see what it looked like before. And I took all the hinges off, all the drawer pulls, all that kind of stuff. It's just going to make your project a lot easier. And if you want to spray paint those, you can go ahead and do that. Just a little tip, as I'm taking all those off, I just put these in a little baggie or a can, whatever you have. That way it all stays together and you don't lose it. Going with that, I also took the glass out of these instead of trying to tape around it. I just thought it would be a lot easier. And there was just a little piece back here that held the glass in with 2 screws, so I just took that right out. This is going to save you a lot of time. And once you get everything off, you're going to go ahead and wipe it off. I just wipe off my furniture with a wet rag. I don't use any type of cleaning solution because I don't want any of those chemicals to mess up the paint. So I just take a damp rag, just wipe it down. You can do a paper towel, cut up an old t-shirt, whatever you have at your disposal. You'll also need another rag for when we do the finishing wax, so just make sure you have 2, or you can use a paintbrush. It's up to you. So diving into paintbrushes, I do have an assortment. This is a 3-pack that I got from the dollar store, so 3 for $1. The only thing about the cheaper paintbrushes is that sometimes the bristles will fall off, so just be careful with that. But you know, just keep an eye on it. Other than that, you should be good. I just have a few other paintbrushes, but usually I don't spend more than $5 on a paintbrush. You might also just need a screwdriver for when you're taking off those doors or the hinges, all that kind of stuff. A paint opener. If you don't have a paint opener, just go ahead and grab a flathead screwdriver, and then you'll also want a hammer or something heavy for when you need to put the lid back on your paint. And this is optional, just kind of depending on what kind of project you're doing, but I went ahead and taped off the surface of mine. It's also great to have something to stir your paint with. If you don't have a paint stirrer, you can use a hanger that you don't want anymore, or just anything that can really get in there and stir your paint. Or if you don't have either one of those options, I just always give my paint a good shake, and that usually works for me. So this is the paint that we're going to be using today. This is the Behr decorative paint, and this is going to be in the color Cream de Mint. It's absolutely beautiful. I think this was $20 a gallon, but I'll link it down below. For our sealing wax, we're going to be using the Behr Decorative Finish Wax in the color white. So they have an antique wax, a white wax, and then just your clear sealing wax, which is usually what I use. So this is my second time using this white sealing wax. I actually just did this same paint and wax with a lamp, and I can link that video down below so you can see how that turned out as well. But it was awesome. I love the finish of it. It's kind of like a farmhouse antique look, but it's not that super aged antique look, which you could also achieve with sandpaper. That's something else that you could have if you do want to distress your project. But that's basically everything that you're gonna need. So that our project's ready, we can go ahead and dive right in. It started raining, so I had to move everything inside of our middle room. It's kind of like our catch-all room, so just excuse the mess. I went ahead and I shook the can of paint, and then here's the color if you guys want to see. I actually started doing this recently, just using all the paint off the lid first, because sometimes when you have chalk paint for a while, the paint on the lid and around the edges will start to get like old and crusty. So just go ahead and use this so you're not wasting it. The great thing about chalk paint is that you don't have to sand your piece of furniture. You can if you want to, if there's a bunch of scratches and stuff like that. But if it's just a flat, even surface, you can just go ahead and slap the paint on it. Just make sure you clean it off like I said earlier. So I just go ahead, I dab right in, and you just throw it on there. And there's really no rhyme or reason to chalk paint. You can put, you know, I wouldn't go too thick, and if you need to do a second coat, that's totally fine. But you just brush it on. Doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you want it to kind of have that antique look. But this stuff goes on so smoothly. And it really doesn't take long at all once you have your piece of furniture prepped. If any of you guys have used this Behr chalk paint, please let me know and leave it in the comments below. Tell me what color you used, how you like it, all that type of stuff. The tip, I forgot that there was some tape left over from like an old command hook right here, and I tried everything to get it off. I think Glue Gun would have worked, but I can't find mine. So I just grabbed a piece of 220 grit sandpaper, and I just kind of sanded it over, and it looks rough right now, but once we paint over that, it'll be fine. Since I sanded, I did wipe it down so there's no dust underneath the paint. This is probably going to need 2 coats right there. You can still see a little bit of the black coming through, but it looks smooth and you don't see any edges where that tape was anymore. So it's like it was never there. Alright guys, I'm back 2 coats of paint later, and halfway through the first coat, I was looking at the can of paint, the Behr can of paint, and I was reading that it says this paint can cause cancer and reproductive harm. So I went back and I looked at some of my other chalk paint colors from other brands, and they have that warning on there as well. But it's really tiny. I'm sure I've seen it before and just forgot, but this time I just decided let's throw it on a mask. So I did that for the second coat of paint. Now that we have done 2 coats of paint and the paint has dried, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the finishing wax. I'm used to using the clear finishing wax, but this is the white one. I have a paintbrush and a cloth. I haven't decided which one I want to use to put the wax on. Probably the cloth. The only thing with using the cloth is sometimes the little fibers or whatever will transfer onto the piece of furniture. I'm going to start with the cloth. So I just like to take a corner of the rag, just dip it in, and then I just start spreading it. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. When you're using this or a clear wax, sometimes, I don't know if you can see, like in the cracks or corners, that's where it'll build up, and that's where you really need to make sure you buff that out so it doesn't dry all chunky there. You just apply it like that and just get all the surfaces. And a little bit of this on a cloth does go a long ways. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this to the entire piece. I ended up using the cloth to apply the finishing wax to the entire piece, but I wasn't getting the desired look that I wanted. I really wanted more of the white coming through, so I went back, I grabbed a bigger paintbrush, and I did have to use more product, but I went ahead and I just painted that finishing wax on pretty thick. Now it's just time to buff this piece. I'm just going to show you on this door. As you can see, there's kind of a lot of the finishing wax built up down here. Usually I have my gloves on, but it's just easier to show you it this way without them on for this. And I'm just wiping that in, just kind of cleaning it up. You know, if you want to leave a bunch there, go for it. Like up here where that white is, I want to leave that there. And like in some of these areas, I want it to be built up. It's just kind of whatever look you're going for. The final product. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. And you just want to make sure you let your project sit for about 5 to 7 days. You really want that sealing wax to cure before you start using it or put anything on it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.